everyone. Thank you for attending this video. It's my first video on the group, as you know, and during the weekend I posted a little trailer saying that something very special could have occurred during the week, and it was a promise that I would like to maintain, and in fact, here we are. I'm very happy to host a special guest, which is the founder of Volumio and CEO of Volumio.
Hello everyone. Thank you, Alessandro, for having me here. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for being with us. I think it's a very special occasion and kind of a privilege for us having you with us. So I think that it's good to see in face who is behind the Volumio, because I just saw on the community your photo with the drill in your hands. So
yeah.
It's the only but now we can speak with you, and it's great. So maybe many of us is thinking of you about as a person, as a very techie and a nerd and so on. But maybe you can tell us a bit more about you, who you are, and what are your personal interests outside Volumio.
Yeah, sure. Well, first let me tell that I am a nerd by collateral damage, and actually my background is totally different. I like to think I'm a humanist, more than a nerd. Of course, my biggest passion has always been music since I was a kid, and listening to that, because I was really bad at playing it. But you know, my interests range from you know, art. I'm very passionate about art, contemporary or also classic art, literature, and my background is psychology. I graduated in psychology because I was fascinated by, you know, what the human mind can achieve in its good or bad, either in these two shapes. And yeah, then I have also other interests when it comes to technology. Recently, for example, I started flying FPV drones, which I discovered to be an even more nerdy passion than audio. And then I am fascinated by history and communication. I also teach here in Florence in a private university. I teach growth hacking and communication. So I like to think also that my background, not being you know, a trained technician, a trained engineer, but being self-taught, reflects on what we do in Volumio, because we try to consider first the user experience and then the technical challenges.
Okay. In fact, I think that the UI of Volumio is very clean, polished, and very well done. That reflects this. I connect the fact that you are, you know, very keen about classics and arts and so on. You are living in Florence and you are Italian. Yeah. So I would like to spend a couple of words on the fact that I was very surprised when I first installed Volumio in finding that it was developed in Florence. So yeah. As Italian, I'm kind of proud of this, and it's good that this shows that Italians are not good not only in you know, sports cars or fashion, good food, but we are also good in developing software. That's something interesting. You know?
Yeah, indeed. And you know, I before starting Volumio, I was working for an IT startup, and this got me the chance to realize that in Italy we have a lot of you know, realities which are well appreciated worldwide, and actually sometimes more appreciated worldwide than in Italy. Yeah. But yeah, we are for sure skilled in many fields.
Sure. So now I think a question that is quite common amongst Volumio users. So how the idea of creating this solution has began, and especially I would like to understand better the zero moment when you understood that the toy that you are building in your hands was converting from a pure hobby into something more serious and possibly into a product for the masses?
Yeah, no, well, this has been a gradual process and uh, unintentional at the beginning. Simply, it all started when I was attending the last year of university. I was actually writing my thesis. Um, and basically, I started to be passionate about audio, building, my hi-fi equipment, and then, of course, I had the issue of having a digital source. I never thought that computer were the right apparatus to play music. So it all started reading in an Italian forum about somebody which had the idea to take all industrial pieces, thin clients, to be specific, which were really, really poor in terms of resources, and repurposing them as audiophile players, installing a very, very minimal Linux distribution. So I started investigating into that, and it was my digital source back at the time. And then I remember I was really intrigued when the first Raspberry Pi was announced. I said, wow, I can do many things with that. So it was my nerdy attitude coming outside, So I got one and I thought, hey, this is perfect for such a purpose. So I started looking online, seeing if somebody made a specific operating system for audio playback on the Raspberry Pi, and there was none. So I said, okay, how hard can it be? So in one afternoon, instead of writing my thesis, of course, I did something very, very simple, just stripping down the operating system of Raspberry Pi, applying few fixes, and installing a music player demo, which is still the backbone of Volumia. And the result was just made for me. And I said, okay, I did it. Why not sharing it online? Because I was using open source software to do it. So it seemed the right thing to do. So I just opened a very simple blog telling people, hey, try it out. And I was really surprised in the coming days about the reaction. People were loving it, even though it was very simple, a proof of concept almost. So it started as an afternoon's hobby, which I then upgraded it little by little, until few months later, actually, a company which was making, still is making audiophile streamers came to me and told me, look, we like what you do. What if we contribute to the project financially, and we put in exchange your software into our products? I said, yes, why not? This is where I started to understand that there might be something more about it. But it kept being an hobby project. I had my main work but at some point, when there were many more companies interested, I decided to quit my day job and put more effort into Volumia. And it grew over the years thanks to the support of many companies which use Volumia in their products, basically what we call Volumia OEM. So a distribution based on Volumia, which we tailor to products which are from many respectable hi-fi companies. And we basically develop, maintain, and support them, enabling them to deliver digital products. So this is how actually it started, and what made me realize that my passion could also pay my bills.
Okay, good. That's very interesting. So as a company, as Intuito, actually you are not alone. So I see you have a team working with you. Can you tell us a bit more how you formed this group, how you recruit people, and how you interact with them? Are they all based in Florence? I don't think so. So
no. Well, first, the group is very heterogeneous. So we have, of course, engineers, and the nature of Volumio implies that we needed to have a lot of engineers with a very, very specific skill set. For example, we need to have people expert in kernel, people expert in cloud technology, people expert in front-end design, app design. So let's say the engineering team is really diverse in terms of capabilities. It might not seem so, but Volumio is really a complex product on the engineering and architecture side. Then, of course, since for me, the most important thing we have as a community, as a company, is the people who enjoy Volumio, our users, our customers. So a very big part of the team is devoted, for example, to customer support, to writing documentation, to communication. And those are people, for example, a lot of people on our team come from fashion. It might seem strange.
It is.
Yeah, but somehow, you know, they felt in love with what we are doing, even though it's totally different than fashion. And yeah, we have a core team in Florence. We are about 5 people here, but we are a distributed team. So we use smart working way before this bad year that passed by. And in total, we are about 20 people. Worldwide, basically. Yeah,
That's good. That's interesting. You mentioned your community base, and most of them are coming from from there. So how you interact with the community, and how, to what extent the community is influencing your development?
well, the community is guiding the development, actively guiding. One thing that I understood is that, or let's say, we can see Volumio as a collective effort of hundreds of thousands of audio files all over the world. Because really all the suggestions, all the feedbacks, all the insults sometimes that we receive from the community, first we try to listen to them as much as possible. And this shaped Volumio to how it is today. Many of the features that are mostly appreciated came from ideas which came from the community. So we always try to listen. I personally try to, you know, to speak, also personally with the phone. Sometimes, for example, we have a customer which tells us something. I ask to get in touch with him. We call on the phone, because this is the best way, in my opinion, to understand first if we are doing the right thing, if we are accomplishing our mission, and to improve as a product and as a company. Of course, we have to make choices. We can't do everything that the community asks.
Sure.
Of course, our experience helps to say, guys, we cannot do that, or yes, we can do that, but please be patient. It takes a couple of years. There are things really which were asked 3 years ago, which we might publish later this month. So because there are some features which really requires a huge amount of work in the background, and people, of course, cannot understand that. We try to explain the technical framing, technical choices, and on the background, but we have to make choices. But luckily, you know, the vibe in our community is great. Is really polite, really constructive, and you know, I see a lot of passion there. So it's not, Volumio is not only mine, but it is of all the people which used it and contributed to it.
Okay. I see. I've been on your community site, and I see how you interact, and the number of discussions and so on, and the number of desiderata they put into.
Yeah.
It's quite huge. Yes. So it's difficult to make everyone happy. So I understand the work and selection work that you need to do.
Yeah. There are, you know, two school of thoughts. One is the company, the entrepreneur, the designer decides it all, and then the user gets what, let's say, the byproduct of the brainchild of the company. Or the product is totally community and user-based driven, and let's say the company does exactly what the community does. We place ourselves in the middle. We have to make choices because, of course, mainly financials, but also operational, politics, legal, but we try to listen as much as possible.
Okay, excellent. Now a question more linked to the reality outside. So we are living into a difficult moment with the COVID and the emergency situation. So I was thinking about how you dealt with this situation, both for the development side and also thinking to the physical product you are now selling, how this impacted your plans.
Well, to be honest, I think we were lucky for a lot of circumstances. Of course, let's say the planning did not change as much because we were already working remotely. So we just worked a little bit more remotely. For example, here in our headquarters in Firenze, we were not working together with the core team, but everybody was working from home because safety is the first thing. And let's say the team member which were remote, for them, it didn't change much. For the supply chain, for example, for the Primo, luckily we were not impacted very much. What has changed is mainly we had some troubles, for example, finalizing some products where the supply chain was not established. And when it came, for example, for product launches and planning, because all major trade fairs were canceled. But I like to think that in this period, we worked even harder than before because we saw the need. People were at home in a really difficult situation. And one of the things which they were doing was listening to music with Volumio. So we like to think that we improved a bit the situation of all the people that were impacted, of course, a small thing. But yeah, so this is how we lived those years. And yeah, that was it basically.
I have to say that Volumio ruined my financing during the COVID because I purchased 3 DACs and I've spent a lot of time on Volumio. So it was my kind of safety during this situation. So
I don't know if I have to apologize for that, Alessandro.
No, but it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Yeah.
So now another question about the again Volumio as a tool. So it all started as an open source project, free project, and over time you have introduced a number of functionalities that are subscription based. So I see now 2 different, flavors coexisting into the product. So how you see this going forward? What will be the business model, let's say, of Volumio, and how you respond to people that maybe criticize the fact that something is to be paid?
Of course, first we had critics from people who said, hey, you should be open source, don't forget about that. But I would say 90% of the people were supporting us through this choice. It was not something we did lightly, but working all those years in open source made me realize a couple of things. First, open source software doing open source is a philosophy and is not related to price. So people always think that open source means free, and free software means free. Actually, it is all about freedom of allowing people to do what they think is best with the software that you do. So we want to keep that. So this is why the majority of things we do, we explain also how they work, and we leave the system as open as possible, meaning you want to create a new feature, you can do it, we give you the tools, and we actually try to teach you also how to do that and how to build a good playing system on a budget. Because we believe this is our mission. We want to foster critical thinking on audio. So don't believe, the magic potion exists. just we try to tell you what is the recipe for a good sound, and this usually doesn't mean spending money. But we realized at some point we were financially relying as a company from OEM, what I explained to you before. So basically, if a company came and decided that they wanted to use Volumio in their product, we were, of course, supplying the software and doing the modification to the software that those companies needed. So we were limited.
Say customization.
Exactly. Customization or additional features. So we came at a point where we could afford to pay developers because, of course, developers, also have bills to pay. We could do only what was interesting for our OEMs and not much for the community. Of course, some of this budget was improving the overall platform of Volumio, but the decision-making process was always leading us to favor what those OEMs needed. So we decided at some point to stop to be, let's say, a company driven by royalties in services and become a product-oriented company. This is also because we understood that if we had a constant stream of revenues, those could be reinvested in what we thought was the best for the product and what the community was asking. And so actually our approach is we keep the open source part as much as possible. We will not put behind the paywall a feature which was free before. So we will not remove any feature and make it become paid. But we will use some of the features we will develop the features which are technically more difficult or require, for example, server costs to be paid. Those will be available to my Volumio members. To be honest, I'm really happy we made this choice because Volumio is better for everyone. Those who pay and those who don't. So actually, we think this is, let's say, a good business model for open source projects. The important is that you keep the system on itself sufficiently, let's say, customizable for who wants to get his hands dirty. You offer a good user experience to who expect for it just to work, and you aim for the best product that you can achieve. For this, you need money. And, I think we found the right balance. Last but not least, those who criticize us forget that it costs a lot of money to build such a product. And this money shall come somewhere. If it is the users which put the money, they are able also to improve the platform. And also, basically this is it. And we couldn't rely on donations because we receive maybe 0.2% of what we actually need financially from donation.
Yeah, so that's good.
It will not be sustainable.
I'm very happy to contribute to Virtuoso with my annual.
Thank you very much.
And also I'm having some extra features like Cobus and Tidal. So that's very clear, and thank you for disclosing this concept, which I think is important for people to understand. Now a question about the hardware again. So very impressed by Primo. It's your first product. In fact, for those not Italian, Primo first. So you're very, you found the right name for the product. So I'm also impressed that your first product has been so successful. I've seen a lot of reviews that have positive, positive thoughts about the product. So how this product has been developed and how you convert what is an idea at the beginning into not just a physical product, but into a successful physical product, that which in reality is competing now with big names into the audiophile industry, if you think.
Yeah. Again, the inception of the Primo has been pretty much like, you know, uh, the inception of Volumio. Um, I just wanted to do something for myself, put, let's say, what I believe is a recipe for actually price quality ratio product. So we had this idea for some time, and there was a company which we work very close together since years, to which we spoke about, and they helped on the hardware design while we studied the specification. Also, we had some discussion with the team members, the forum moderators, the community moderators, asking, hey, we think to do this kind of product. What do you think? And again, also there, this was a collective discussion. For example, we decided to add the SPDIF digital port, which was not thought initially. We decided, for example, to do for a simple appearance, to try to keep the cost as low as possible. But in the end, it embodies what we think, let's say, our philosophy. And it has been a great chance to finally involve a larger public. This, I think, is the biggest merit of Primo. Because before, to use Volumio, you needed to get into DIY, get a Raspberry Pi, get a DAC, put them all together, study how to do it, which is possible, but takes some time. And not all people can do it, and not all people have the skills to do it. So the biggest merit is that finally, people could enjoy Volumio simply unboxing one thing, and 5 minutes after, they are listening to music. So I'm really overwhelmed by the fact that it has been so successful. We weren't expecting that. Actually, the first when we first offered to the public, we just thought, okay, maybe we're going to sell 20. The initial batch was just 20, and they sold out in few hours. To be honest, I didn't expect that. I really didn't. But yeah, so I think that the recipe is just, it is an honest product. It does what it says. We made some design choices which people seem to appreciate. And, you know, also one thing that I like is that both newcomers to the streaming, so people which did not consider streaming before, they are getting it and they are happy with that. But also advanced users, people which were building Raspberry Pi DIY streamers before, they are getting it because they know that we put inside all of our expertise into there. And even with the DIY, they couldn't get that, basically. So this is the merit of the Primo. And also one thing, yeah.
I've seen on Audio Science Review, which is a site that you know dissects all the technicalities and measures the performance of the unit. I've seen that it's very impressive also on the performances, on the distortion and the like. How you fine-tuned this part of the device, which I think requires a very specific expertise in electronics and the like?
Yeah, no, of course, when it comes to designing electronics, this is a skill we didn't have in-house at the moment. We just knew what the recipe, what we wanted, which was good clocking, which was a really careful filtering on the power supply side. And we knew that the integration with the software was super important, especially for the driver. The Primo on its analog output uses, of course, I2S connection, which we believe is the best choice for a streamer with integrated DAC. And we really spent a lot of time here in the studio measuring the clock, if it was accurate enough. And I must say also that I'm really happy we went with the choice to use the Asus Tinkerboard S instead of the Raspberry Pi, because Asus has been super supportive, even putting some of their engineers helping us achieve the results and being able to fine-tune the driver, which is sending the audio via the I2S.
That's interesting.
So
I'm going to purchase a Primo. Okay.
well,
Okay. So good. And again, speaking about the hardware, I've seen on your site the presentation of Motivo and also an announcement into another site with the plan to release by September 2019, if I remember well. So I imagine the delay has been also impacted by the situation. So can you tell us a bit more about Motivo? Maybe can you show us Motivo?
yeah.
What are the main features that distinguishes Motivo from Primo and this? So can you tell us more?
So Motivo is a really ambitious project, which involves us, then an engineer which I know since years, and this is, let's say, his brainchild for technology, and a world famous industrial designer, and this is the result.
Wow,
basically.
it's very sexy.
Yeah, this is really sexy. So what is the concept behind the Motivo? First, many people asked us, we want a touchscreen. It is something that many people want. We think especially people which don't like to use the mobile phone always, or people which already are in love with the good old Squeezebox Touch, which I think was a brilliant product. And we wanted to, let's say, reinvent the concept into what Volumio can offer. So the first thing is a touchscreen, which you can use to do the same thing you would do on the mobile. The second, well, of course, the design speaks for itself, but the technology will be a world-first technology. The reason, one of the main reasons why it is taking so long for us to put it onto the market is because we are using a new technology which uses, of course, FPGA, as many others use, but we use an audio, let's say, path that has never been used before. We use basically a high-speed interface to, let's say, connect the processor and the FPGA. And this has some really clever tricks for clocking inside. As I mentioned before, this was the brainchild of this engineer, which is working on this since 10 years. But it is so unique, was so out of standards that nobody could use it because you must use a command line tool to make it work. And it was not working with all, the formats. So our work there has been to make this out of standard thing work with standard things that we use every day, like Spotify Connect, Roon, and MPD, our core engine, and all of that. And this is not done yet, although we are super close, but this has been super difficult and challenging from a technical perspective. And then there's the thing that this product is very complex to manufacture. And we really wanted to get it 100% perfect. So we already had, I would say, 3 or 4 iterations of pre-production samples, and we were not satisfied with it. Seems that we are really close to releasing it. And so I really can't wait. But it is really an ambitious project, and we believe that when people will hear it, the first time I heard it, I really got emotional because it sounds amazing.
A technical question about the FPGA. It is used for clocking or is part of the digital audio conversion?
Well, the digital audio conversion is handled by an ESS stack, actually. A combination of the FPGA is basically an interface between the processor and the DAC.
Okay, good.
The idea there, if you're interested, was to have a complete isolation and a complete, let's say, immunity of, let's say, what the DAC receives versus what the processor sends. and it is ironic because one thing that Volume does well is sends good bits to the DAC. Okay, so basically we are removing also this last part, which is handled by the software and the operating system. Whatever we send, we know that then the FPGA and this communication protocol will arrive perfectly to the DAC.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you for disclosing. So just to be clear, if you can disclose, there is not yet a release plan for the product.
So I am receiving a lot of emails, and I always say we are close this time. We are close. Please be patient.
Okay,
what I can say is that we want it to be 100% perfect, and bringing such a product to the market is really difficult for many reasons. So I almost regret that I presented it, and still I haven't been able to put it on the market, but it just takes the time that it takes. Another interesting aspect of the Motivo is that we evolved again the community also into the design of it. After we presented it in Munich, we collected some emails. There is a dedicated mailing list from the thread that you just mentioned, where we sent out a questionnaire to people asking, for example, what they thought it should have, what we could remove, if there was something that we didn't consider. Among the many suggestions we received, there was one which we thought it made a lot of sense, to add an headphone output, because it's just perfect to be used as an headphone desktop player, because you can control via the touchscreen and listen with the headphones. So we added it. Okay. We added to be clever because, for example, it will. We needed to avoid to redesign the back of the unit, so one of the two XLR via setting can be turned into an headphone output with a special adapter we're going to supply. So again, this tells you about our approach.
Sure, sure. I appreciate a lot that you are being very, open and frank to disclose these things, which is not common amongst, hardware companies, because they tend to be very, attentive, what they communicate. So thank you so much about this information.
You're welcome.
So now the last question. So of course, Volumio is a solution which is evolving, and sooner or later you will release Volumio 3, I think. So there is something that you have in mind that could be the new features, or what you think will be the main characteristics of the software that you want to build into this new iteration, if you can disclose.
So one thing that I don't understand and I don't like about, let's say, the hi-fi audio playback thing of today is that it's full of walled gardens. If you want to listen to something easily and with good quality, you need to open many different apps. You need to understand which protocol you can use and know which is the one which has the best quality. Sometimes if you have, for example, an iPhone, you cannot play to something which is not compatible, and vice versa. We think we want to change that, and what I can tell you is that we are studying and investing a lot in research and development on something that will make life easier for music lovers, and that will deliver an integrated and easy experience for listening to music, not only at home. So here, sorry, I need to be vague, but this is what we are trying to achieve. We think we can do our part, because all those years we worked on integrating all music sources into one place and integrating all protocols into one place. We just want to do it on a wider scale. And again, we think that our philosophy of being open, of being universally compatible, can bring a great benefit. So this is what we are actually studying as of now.
Okay, thank you so much. I think our conversation has been great. You have given us a lot of information that our audience will appreciate for sure. I think that many questions will also flow by people when viewing our interview. So I invite everyone to maybe send questions. Maybe we could have in the future a new follow-up if you
Why
want.
not? It will be a pleasure. Absolutely.
And thank you so much for the time and efforts you are spending for providing us with our favorite music player. And hope to see you soon. Thank you, Michelangelo.
It's a pleasure. Thank you, really, Alessandro, because also this gave me the chance of speak of things that I care and maybe people don't know. So yeah, absolutely. Thanks, and we will do it again, I guess.
Okay. Ciao, ciao. Thank you so much.
Ciao.
Ciao,
You're
ciao.
welcome. Ciao.